As the tee height goes up, we're seeing a bit more of a miss to the right, which I know I definitely have. That's the miss I really hate. I hate when I start blocking the driver, so. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be talking about some low-hanging fruit in the golf game. We're going to be talking about tee height. We're going to be talking about which tee height should be used by different types of players, and realizing that we are obviously all individual and different in how we deliver the golf club, and you're obviously going to have to somewhat self-diagnose from what we show you today with regards to players who maybe hit down in the ball a little bit more versus those who hit up in the little bit, hit up on it a little bit more. So within the Bertie family, and shout out to Mario from Bertie, you know, I think most of the indoor facilities that I see online and have used myself, we all use this same sort of indoor tee. It comes in 1 to 8 in quarter-inch increments, and we're going to basically test all 8 sizes or heights today. So the number 1 tee height, which I guess would be considered ideal for the irons, is going to be at a 1/4 inch, and it goes in 1/4 inch increments all the way up to a 2-inch number 8 tee, which is the tallest, which is this one right here. So we're going to run through that today. We're going to look at where is the sweet spot in your delivery, and everyone's going to have, as I say, their own, and we're going to check out for me and my driver right now, what tee height should I be using? I have a preference on tee height, so I think this might actually be quite good for me to see as well, that the preference I have and what turns out to be the optimized tee height, they might not actually be the same, and the data could show us something that could actually lead to a few extra yards for me too. All right guys, so we're going to start on the number 1 tee, which in all honesty, at a 1/4 inch is basically a lift off the ground. You know, the way that it sits there, even at address, I feel like it's driver off the deck. I feel like it's more actually of hitting it off like a plush fairway where I've actually got a little bit of cushion. So for those of you who maybe like to hit driver off the deck or would love to learn how to hit it off the deck, the number 1 tee is going to be something that might be some good practice. Now, we'll clip a couple away here and explain relative to angle of attack. If you're somebody who really struggles with angle of attack, maybe you hit up at 7-8 degrees, this is probably not where you want to position your tee in the golf course, but may actually work as a really good training aid for managing your low point. So let's hit a couple. Again, we're trying to standardize the speed when we do these videos, guys. I think that's important that we relate to more of you out there, and it's not just me sort of swinging it, it's sort of what I'm comfortable at. So I love the 100-mile-an-hour swings that we've been doing in other videos recently. Let's try and keep it to that. 102 miles an hour, so maybe a little quicker than what we were talking about. Angle of attack 0.0. So you can actually see why that's came out quite nicely and ended up chasing out to a really respectable 273 because the angle of attack is suitable for that low tee height. Now, we're definitely going to give up some yards on the carry. Recent video we just done, we talked about at 100 miles an hour where we can get to probably, well, actually at 102, we can definitely reach 260. So we're giving up probably 20 in carry, but we're really not giving up that much. So for those of you who are on the neutral angle of attack standpoint, that would actually be okay. Maybe not this height. This is who it would not be good for. Okay, so let's ball position up a little bit more tilt in the swing. For the players who are maybe 2 or 3 up, so there's 3 degrees up. Okay, if we look at the strike point, strays a little bit low in the head, and we are going to lose a little bit of that distance. We lost the best part of 20 yards there, just because the tee height is obviously not as suitable for the player who hits up on it that little bit more. So generally, guys, at a 1/4 inch off the ground, the number 1 tee is probably not your answer, but there are some scenarios where it could maybe help from a training perspective. All right, tee height number 2, 1/2 inch off the ground. Now you can see the ball is elevated. The number 1, I really barely could see it. So this is where we'll start to get up the face a little bit with the strike. But again, we don't want to be the three degrees up angle of attack player. We want to be back to that sort of neutral delivery, that zero angle of attack. That's the player who will get the most out of a low tee height like this. Okay, so back to 0.2 on the angle of attack. Really nice training this actually for that low point control. You know, there's definitely times where it's advantageous to be able to squeeze one out there. We're back to our 272, which is really, really nice. Out at 70 feet, definitely penetrating. Nothing but a good links flight, that. Strike was okay, 8 millimeters down the head, so definitely not awful. Not optimized either from a carry perspective at 245. We know, again, as we said in the previous one, 260 is what we could get out of that kind of speed. So let's see if we can get one more. Not bad at all. On the number 2 tee, you're looking to maximize the roll and sort of run and chase. We've got that ball peaking there at 59 feet. It's coming out like a missile, but it's hit well. You know, you look at how straight that is. It really is hit pretty good. 9 degrees of launch and 2200 spin. Nothing wrong with that in the right conditions at all. So that's where teeing it down for certain players is actually going to be something that could work to their advantage. All right, tee height number 3. We're now at 3/4 of an inch off the ground. This is probably where I would tee it on a golf course on tournament play if I was trying to squeeze one down. Probably 1/2 inch and 1/4 inch, or probably a little bit lower than I would. Although going by the results, it maybe is something I should consider a little bit more often. But yeah, let's see now if we can get that strike moving up the head ever so slightly. Although not disappointed with the strike height on those first couple. Yeah, I can definitely see that launch angle coming up a little bit now. 1 degree up in angle of attack. Launch conditions aren't really changing a whole bunch though. Or sorry, the carry distance isn't changing a whole bunch. The height's up a little bit at 66. Not too bad. So I think even by strike height, we're seeing a better strike height now at the 3/4. But even with that great strike location and a really good delivery, we're still not seeing nearly as much carry distance, height. Obviously, land angle's too flat. We're going to get excessive amounts of run. Obviously, in links, it's not that bad, but you know, land angle is not something we should be trying to really maximize the distance with. There's an element of the angle your ball comes into the fairway. We've got to have control at the same time. So that was really, really nice. I'm again really pleased with 10-degree launch and 2200 spin. But in order to start to capitalize on the carry distance we want, we're going to want to go up again. So let's just hit one more. Pretty solid, similar to the last probably. Yeah, bit of a carbon copy. 243 out to 277. All right, tee height number 4. This is the first time we're at 1 inch in height. So from that first tee height, 1/4, 1/2, 3/4, now we're quite noticeably, obviously different. We can start to take advantage of the elevation of the golf ball and optimizing those launch conditions. We've really not seen anything so far out of the 100, the range that we've got, 100 to 103 miles an hour club head speed. We've not seen anything really beyond 243, I think was the best carry we've seen, something like that. So this is where we should start to get the optimized launch conditions as that tee height comes up a little bit more. Yeah, better. Tee height has now got us, or lifted the peak height, the tee height at 1 inch has lifted the peak height to 84. We've got the angle of attack up a little bit. We're starting to get a little more air under the golf ball. We've gained in carry and in total. Really not gained anything in speed. We've kept the speed really, really consistent. And we're starting to see that lift now as we get closer to the sort of optimized launch conditions. And as we discuss, guys, in this topic of, what is it that's going to give us our sweet spot, we're starting to see it. So I'm learning enough about me that maybe I'm not a 6, 7, or 8 tee height guy if I'm delivering it like this. At the minute, I would have a hard time arguing with myself that I'm really not more suited to a slightly lower tee because of how straight these golf balls are coming out. We've hit 5 or 6 drives and I think maybe 7 drives, and that's really the only one that left the line was intentionally. So it's definitely suitable for me personally to have these lower tees. And that was a bit necky. It was the only thing wrong with that one. It was very similar delivery to the last one. Necked it, but it came out at 83 feet still. Really, really pleased with the result on that. So we're starting to see some of that consistency. All right, tee height 5. Okay, 1.25 inches. We're seeing the delivery or the angle of attack come up to about 2 degrees, 2.5 degrees even on that last one up. So it'll be interesting to see if the tee height is actually what's causing me to react to the ball being elevated. And is that a good thing, ultimately? Do you really want that angle of attack up? It's advantageous from a distance perspective, but from a consistency standpoint, do we start to see it fall off a little bit as that tee height goes up? That's ultimately what I want to see from this test. Definitely strike was up there. Good numbers. Really interesting to see the sort of staggered change in height. I think we started off at like 50-ish feet and we've kind of gradually went up in kind of like 10, 15 foot increments. And now we're at a really, really optimized spot. Again, I really don't think at 102, I don't think you're going to see much more out of the driver. 255 and 280 total. It really is ticking the optimized boxes when it comes to the tee height. So 4 and 5, probably somewhere about there is looking pretty good for me. We just talked about that. Is the tee height causing me? I'm absolutely not trying to hit up on it more. 100% give you my word on that. This is not me trying to change the test. The tee height is changing my delivery. And that's something to be mindful of, guys. I talked about it with the tee height 1 and 2, maybe using those to reshape your golf swing a little bit. So if you get out there and you find that you're kind of catching maybe a little bit behind or you're getting stuck in the back foot, get those lower tee heights, get that ball position back a little bit. Use these as a little bit of a training aid to shape your golf swing. Strike height as well. Strike height there, guys, as well. Moved up for the first time above the CG line. Very similar to the peak height of the golf ball. So as we change height, we're changing strike height and also peak height. It turned that one over a little bit, but similar angle of attack, 3.5 degrees up as this tee height goes up. All right, we're off to number 6. Okay, just looking at this visually, 6 is about as comfortable, or the last point, I think, where I would be comfortable with the tee being that high. That's 1.5 inches off of the ground. Yeah, I don't think I'd be really looking to peg it up much higher than that. So this is where I think maybe my swing will start to change a little bit, where I can start elevating the exit point of my golf swing. I felt like what I loved about the lower tee heights was that it made my golf swing a little bit more rotary and actually had control of the club face for a little bit longer. It'll be interesting to see if that stays true as this tee height goes up now. Okay, so number 6. Okay, not bad. Angle attack is up. Peak height is definitely up a little bit. Strike was actually a little bit lower in the head. So first time we've seen a regression in the strike height. That might be partly to do with the fact that I'm getting a little bit stuck on the back foot, not quite swinging through it. Let's hit another one, find out. Not bad. Did feel low in the strike again, though. Yeah, not unhappy with that, guys, to be honest. Not unhappy with that at all. Delivery-wise is still in a really nice spot. Yeah, I'd say 6 is still comfortable. Okay, tee height 7. One thing I'd love to know, and maybe you can let us know in the comments before we get to the conclusion, what tee height did you think would be most optimized with the driver? Did you think it would be the highest? Did you think it would be somewhere in the middle? Did you think it might be actually one of the lower ones? I'd love to know what you guys would think would be the sort of tee height that would really give a golfer the best opportunity to have not just distance, but accuracy at the same time. Okay, tee height number 7, 1.75 inches off the ground. Launch angle, really elevating now. A bit of an interesting flight, that one. So 0 path and a 0 face to path. All the curvature was from the heel strike. Neutralizing the delivery actually somewhat too. Okay, 110 peak height, so pretty high. 41-degree land angle, probably getting out of what we would consider to be ideal at this point. Probably trying to keep that in around the 36, 37-degree land angle would be preferable. So yeah, maybe we've just tilted over the edge of what would be ideal for someone like me. Launch angle is for sure up. And it kind of looks like a carbon copy to me of the last one. As the tee height goes up, we're seeing a bit more of a miss to the right, which I know I definitely have. That's the miss I really hate. I hate when I start blocking the driver. So yeah, quite interesting to see. And once we look at the averages at the end, we'll see if that's something that, as the tee height got higher, that crept in. Okay, last but not least, we've got the big dog, 2 inches off the ground. Guys, when you pick your tees from, whether it's your pro shop or whether you buy them online or wherever you get them from, you probably see on the bag, it's like maybe like 2 1/8 or 2 3/4, maybe 3 1/4. That's the total length of the tee height. That's that's not the tee height it's going to be at once it's obviously in the ground, right? So 2 inches of tee that's out the ground is quite a lot. And this is probably would be one of your longer tee heights that you would find out there in the market. So way higher than I would ever tee it. There's no doubt about that. So let's see what it does for the delivery and the ball flight. Okay, a little bit of a slower swing there. I'm actually going to do another, not ideal, but I don't feel like I'm trying to swing slower. I actually feel like it's just more difficult to make a nice aggressive pass at it when the ball's this elevated in the air. So definitely a point of diminishing returns on the tee height. There's a point at which I was getting a little bit more ball speed and I was certainly able to be a bit more aggressive. As the tee height went up, I kind of lost a little bit of that in myself. So let's look at the table and let's have a look at where I was optimizing. Let's sort of revisit that just to make sure. Okay, guys, fun little test. It's interesting to see them all together, but let's look at them all sort of one by one. So starting at tee height number 1, the white, the 2 there. So clearly, we do not want to be teeing it at 1/4 inch off the ground to optimize our driver. That's nobody's idea of a good time. We're definitely giving up some yards. Yes, it's a little bit more of a compressed gap. So the best one off the low tee is actually not that bad. But when it comes to carry, if we nudge back over to carry there, you can see you're giving up the best part of 20 yards with the low tee. Tee height number 2, the orange. One of the most fascinating parts of that test was there was a real correlation between my golf swing is a little bit faster when the ball is closer to the ground. I never knew that until today. There's definitely something in that as we go towards the number 8 and number 7 tee that I should be probably swinging a little bit quicker because I'm more warmed up and sort of we're deeper into the test. Generally, that's what we've seen over the years. But when it comes to tee height number 2, I felt like I was swinging quite nicely on that one. So 71 feet, though, is still a little bit on the flat side. Let's see number 3. Again, pretty flat. I hadn't really seen launch angle come up into, a decent number yet. So it's still coming out at 65 feet. Something that's unique to me. I don't think this would be a blanket statement, but it seems to be I can actually turn the ball over a little bit easier with a lower tee as well. The higher tees, I was actually missing it a little more right. Lower tees, I was turning it over a little touch as well. Just probably something for me to take away, but numbers were good. 276 is a really, really respectable total. We're just not getting the carry. So as we move to number 4, we're seeing that that peak height come up to 83. Ball speed went down a touch, which was fascinating. Carry subsequently never really saw a lift, and the total never really saw a lift either, but it was in much more of a neutral window. I think in terms of the strike height, we were starting to get into the sweet spot of, you know, where the ideal part of the head is. Number 5, this was where we kind of hit the jackpot a little bit on the numbers. So hitting up on it at 3.4 degrees, good ball speed, 90 feet peak height, 255 carry, 283 total. Had nice right to left shape on it. Really, really happy with kind of what those looked like. That was excellent. Number 6, quite similar, but with a little bit more of that right-hand side. So that 1/4 inch really never done much to the launch and spin. It just kind of, whether it was my delivery or whatever, but we did see a trend as that height kept going up. I was missing it more to the right. So if we go to 7, yeah, we're leaking it to the right. Now go back to 6 1 second. So look at that path, 2.4. Then if we go to 7, we're 0.9. So we are seeing a little bit of a trend. Club head speed's coming down. Peak height is going up, so it's a softer ball flight. We've not given up any carry distance, but we are giving up 5 yards in total distance at this point. And then last but not least, number 8. And we saw, yeah, some pretty good results. Again, good on the carry, not obviously maximizing the total, but this is the probably the strangest part of this whole test for me is when that golf ball gets elevated like that. For me, I can't use the same amount of force, or I don't have access to the same amount of speed as I do when the ball is of maybe 1 1/4 inch, which is that number 5 tee height. I don't have the same speed. So as much as those launch conditions are great, 15 launch and 2300 spin are good, 276, you don't want to be losing yards, and certainly the strike was moving a little bit more towards the heel as well. So some really, really fun takeaways, and not really something that I had ever really noticed about my game. And until doing these sorts of tests, I think you always uncover something that's kind of got you scratching your head, and you know, you find it fascinating. So really, really cool test, guys, that from a 1/4 inch to 2 inches off the ground, there can be that much difference in terms of the speed, launch, spin, peak height, land angle, all of those things combined. And a test that I think is well worthwhile all of you at home doing. If you've got an hour in a sim, it will even take you an hour, it might take you half an hour. Get your driver, get a pack of burr tees from 1/4 inch to 2 inches, and go through that process. Certainly, you know, a facility like Golf Home here in Burlington, you could come in, all the tees are laid out for on the desk every time we come in. So, you know, you could literally do this test yourself and see what your optimized tee height is. That's what this is all about. For me, I think if we go back to that number 5, if we look at obviously the ball flight, nice little draw, 13.2 launch, 21.78 spin, 90 feet peak height. We love all of that, right? Ball speed is 152, is as good as we saw all day, and 283 total distance. I think that would tick all the boxes for me. The ones that with the lower tee heights were a little too flat and too sort of runny. I wouldn't be confident that I could make those forced carries. And obviously, vice versa on the run out, I know I'm maximizing my total yardage when it comes to this number 5 tee for me. So that's my takeaway from today. 1 1/4 inch off the ground is pretty much where I want to be to give me the best of both worlds for accuracy and distance. I would love for you guys to do this test and come back and share your results with us. Did you find something you already knew, or did you learn something new about your own game? That's what's so cool about doing these tests, guys. So let us know your feedback in the comments below. If you've just joined us on the channel, make sure you're a subscriber, click that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. You'll see all of our new videos whenever they come out. Stay tuned for more, guys. We'll see you again soon.